I'm a Michigan constitutional crusader, rising up when the world goes cold. No badge can bring me, no chains can take me. Truth in my veins, a fire them bold. To fire them bold.
Alright, we're at a special Mundy Township meeting.
Jennifer Staten won her seat fair and square in 2024 because she had the guts to stand up for the monstrous $55 billion mega site Booz Aqua. The one that would have poisoned our water, wrecked our farms, and turned Mundy into a toxic industrial dump for out-of-state billionaires. She promised to fight it, and damn it, she delivered. The project got scrapped in July because of her leadership and anti-megasite majority she helped build on this board. That's not failure, that's victory. She saved our aquifers from being sucked dry, our grids from blackouts, and our kids from breathing in hazardous chemicals. Jennifer is a warrior for Mundy, not some puppet dancing to Big Tech's tune. But now you pro-development vultures on the board, yeah, I'm looking at you. You want to recall her for what? For protecting our community? For blocking a deal that demolishes 200 homes and left us with nothing but regret and empty promises of jobs? 50 lousy jobs in exchange for irreversible damage. That's not leadership. That's treason against the township. We're the ones who signed the NDAs, hid details from the public, and cozied up to developers while residents begged you to listen. Jennifer refused those deals. She chose transparency. She chose us. This recall is bought and paid for by the same fat cats who lost their cash cow. They couldn't beat her at the ballot box, so now they're slinging mud with petitions full of lies. Well, guess what? The people of Mundy aren't buying it. We've got thousands of people ready to fight back. You pick this fight, remember one thing. We actually have the numbers. You don't. We'll expose every dirty dollar behind this sham and make sure that your names are as toxic as the chemicals from the semiconductor plant come next election time. Jennifer Staten is Mundy Township's shield. She's fighting for clean water, safe homes, and a future we control, not one sold off to polluters. Back off of the recall, or we'll bury it, and we'll bury you under an avalanche of public outrage. Stand with Jennifer, kill the recall. Mundy strong, Mundy now, Mundy forever. Thanks for giving us a voice.
Thank you.
What's up? I ain't got nothing prepared. I don't got a whole lot to say, but since we got a recall on the table, I feel like it's gloves off. So I'm gonna let all my paperwork do the talking, and that's how we're gonna roll. And because of Mr. Hudson here, we got a couple attorneys ready to rock and roll with this, and they're hell-bent against the mega site, and Cara and all them guys. And I just say, hey, game on. You know what I mean? You guys want to play games? Let's play them. That's all there is to it. I'm gonna put recalls on everybody. We're just gonna see what the public wants to do. Why not? You know what I mean? You can put a recall, we can put a recall. We get the signatures, we can get it. I know that guy's got like 400,000 or 500,000 followers between his social medias. You know what I mean? So we can definitely make something happen. That's just it. Have a great day, and wonderful United States Constitution will prevail.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the sign-in list. At this point, it's first come, first served.
Any other public comments?
As I take my time, in which I should be at work serving the greater Genesee County community, I find myself not capable of going there. The disrespect this county has showed every citizen since I've been here for 10 years is pathetic and deplorable. What I have received out of Genesee County as abroad is despicable. I've seen this man in the courtroom across multiple just unconstitutional acts. He's pathetic. I don't know why you would ever, any one of you would listen to that man. I've seen him at the heat of many deaths, including my property, sitting there watching. He knows what's going on. I have Mount Morris Township right now at $880 million in federal court. They're in double default. You know what their answer was? To beg my Deontay withdraw? The answer went across to Genesee Township. Genesee Township decides they don't have to respect farmers who comes into my shit because of my fence and has no warrants. You don't want to know what the numbers are going to be on this. What I have learned in the last few years is a lot. A lot. I come from West Virginia with a bunch of moonshine. We were scared of the feds. But here in the modern age, I find myself in the federal courthouse, and what I find is really friendly people. They love my Constitution, and they hate people that don't want me to work in the United States of America. They almost threw up right in the courtroom when they think of the actions of Genesee County. Some people want you to withdraw this recall. I, on the other hand, kind of beg it of you, because I will help my friend. I come in here with no respect for anything in the Genesee County area, looking for the last place where I will put my little girls into a school. Your schools are pathetic. They will never grace the presence of your daughters. Just as they will never go into a Flint public school. And when I get done clearing all these millions of dollars out of there, and you illegally throw her out, I'm going to show up on her door, and I'm going to walk down to that federal courthouse with her, and I am going to help her file the paperwork against each and every one of you. This is pathetic. Pathetic. I should not have to take time out of my day. Mr. Hudson should not have to take time out of his campaign. Jason should not be here making this the news. This is pathetic. Each and every one of you. If it's not the 5 of you that are, it's the other rest of you that ain't pushing you in your face in the ground. Not literally. There's paperwork. Y'all got your own due diligence. Y'all got your own oaths. And there's legal shit to protect each and every one of you when you stand up and do the right goddamn thing that none of you have done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Seeing no further public comments, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Before we approve the consent agenda tonight, there are going to be a couple of things that I would like to discuss that are in the consent agenda. First being the letter that was sent in by Joanne Mundy. I'd like to have that letter pulled out, and I'd like to read that letter. Also, there's a question on the regular board meeting minutes. It was stated in our meeting minutes, this would be page 4 of 5, at the very bottom of the letter. Mr. Young, it says, Mr. Young answered questions that were posed by Ms. Jernigan. Toward the bottom, you will see there's a statement that says, he stated that if the FGA is not able to find a buyer for the property before the end of the grant, it was awarded, the property would revert back to the state. And I'm having problems with that because I distinctly remember the meeting with the FGEA, and when the FGEA gets up, maybe he can give us some further insight on that. But I distinctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were other board members at those meetings, but that property is owned by the LLC. It is not owned by the state. So I don't know if that's a true and correct statement, because I've been informed by several people, including the FGEA, that that property would not revert back to the state, that it would still be owned by the LLC group.
Madam Supervisor.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I understand what you're saying about that the minutes would reflect what was said at the meeting, and that is a true statement of what not that is a true statement, but that is what he said. So I don't know about changing the minutes to reflect something different when we should reflect what was said.
Well, I don't find that to be a truthful, I don't know if that's truthful.
Yeah, I understand that, like we can look into
Right,
that.
I think
It's the
I think we might want to do some further research into that as a board, because I don't believe that to be the case, and it seems to me, and I know, several of you did not attend the, private FGEA MEDC group meeting that was done here at the township. And that was stated during that meeting as well, that that property, because I distinctly remember asking that question, who would own the property at the end of the contracted terms, and it was said that the LLC would own the property. So I just wanna make sure that I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page. I don't want there to be something put out in our board packet that states one thing when really in actuality that's not
Can
what I believe
Can I
would
clarify?
happen.
And
Yes.
I would advocate just striking those sentences from the minutes. I believe what I explained was not relevant specifically to the grant term, but that the state is second in line of succession for ownership of that property. And you have Mr. Ross Messler here to provide some clarification. But Maple Hill LLC is the owner, the state is the second in line of succession and has some rights over that property if a project does not come to fruition.
Right. So would you agree that that statement is a little bit obscure?
Madam Supervisor, I was just going on what exactly was said, that we can strike.
I just,
Prefer,
I,
he stated, from where it says he stated to go back to the state, if that's your preference.
is that okay with you, Mr. Young? You'd have to do it, cause it was your statement.
I don't have to do it, there's the board minutes. I would just say, generally speaking, the first sentence is an accurate reflection. Mr. Young answered questions that were posed by Mr. Union at the beginning of the meeting.
Say it was accurate?
That sentence,
Is accurate?
Mr. Young answered questions that were posed by Mr. Union at the beginning of the meeting. That's an accurate.
That's all it has to say.
That's
Correct.
all it has to say? Doesn't have to go into detail.
No.
So you're asking to strike what he stated about the well too, and then the second one.
And I had a question about that too, as far as the well.
But I still would like us as a board, I think it would,
Yeah, I think we should.
I think our due diligence should be to find out what exactly that entails, and it is cold in here, I know, I'm freezing. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page, and that we're not putting out some information that could possibly be seen a different way.
Madam Supervisor, may I address Chad in that statement also with the 70% of the Mundy Township and the wells? Is that, Chad, is that the entire township, or I was just, typically when I speak about the people surrounding the mega site, 90% of them are on wells. That's typically what I say. So I was just wondering what your view on that was.
I was addressing a question from Mr. Union at the time about how many Mundy Township residents were on wells. That's the township as a whole.
As a whole, okay, yeah. So would you say, do you know that, as far as the people around the mega site, about 90%?
I don't know that number, no.
Okay.
I know that generally speaking, our number of water accounts in the jurisdiction versus our number of residential properties.
Thank you.
All right, and then, the only other thing I had, in that consent agenda that was questionable was, pulling out the letter that Miss Mindy is not here today, and,
She actually read that letter in its entirety at the last meeting. It was included in the communications, but at a request of the board at the time.
She gave it to the recording secretary after she read it.
In that letter, she does have a desire for the board to, motion for the planning commission to receive training. Correct. discuss and make a motion on now before we vote on the agenda, or?
The planning commission has their own training budget, and they do attend training very regularly. In the past, we've discussed organizing a joint meeting between the board, the planning commission, and ZBA, the Rural Improvement Authority, to receive some joint training. If the board would like to pursue that, we can. And you have a representative from the board that's a member of the planning commission here. I think they can certainly communicate desire to see the planning commission undertake training, but I don't think it necessitates board action.
We're offered training regularly. We get, we're a part of the different organizations that offer training. I myself have attended multiple trainings. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. Through my 6 years on the planning commission, so, yeah, there's training offered, but I will reiterate what Mr. Young said, which is, previously, 2 separate occasions, we've had joint training with all the boards together. I found that to be very beneficial. I know Mr. Gordon is on ZBA, and he's part of those trainings also. So, maybe sometime in 26, we could organize something like that where we were all training together. I think that would be very beneficial for a lot of us to get onto the same page as far as how things operate and, where we all come in and play our different roles as far as ZBA, planning commission, corridor improvement, the regular board. So I would encourage us to, facilitate that in 26. But as far as training for the planning commission, training is offered a lot. I mean, but you do have to look at a lot of the people that are on those boards carry other jobs, and, so it has to work for schedules. That's why they don't train as one together a lot of times. It's just the opportunities are there at different points and you attend them.
Well, Mrs. Mindy's, particular request is that the training involve the semiconductor industry, the advanced manufacturing, what it would do to the environment, how it would impact the health and the water, and so I was wondering if the training could be more particularly designed for this kind of education so that people on the board can vote more appropriately in regards to safety, because that's basically why we have the planning commission and the boards is for the welfare of the township. So that was a good point that she brought out, and I was hoping that maybe we could, I don't know who is in charge of what is actually taught or instructed in the training, but do you have an idea of how?
Maybe Chad can look into something that's more specific to that.
Yeah, a specific training opportunity like that would have to be something that we organize, and there will be a cost involved with it, which is why I suggest, I think it's a great idea for training. I think it would be a better idea to have it be a multi-board joint function.
We could go to and learn as well. And then the whole township would have to show up, or well, could show up. And
It'd be run as a public meeting.
Everybody could attend.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
Mr. Belser, I have a couple of questions for you. So in Ms. Mindy's letter, she says that the board is actually able to ask the planning commission members to receive that training. Is that correct? Did you get a copy of this?
Absolutely can ask members, but you can't require them.
But we can't require them. Is there anything in their bylaws that requires them to receive any type of training beyond
I
the
don't
planning
believe there's any
commission?
mandatory, 3 hours of continuing education or anything, but they're
It's
encouraged. to do it.
encouraged.
Okay, thank you. So, would it be best if maybe, we as a board come together and, write a letter as all board members urging the planning commission to, do that training? And when we talk about training, I believe the MTA offers online training classes that they can do at their own leisure.
Yeah, but this is talking about a specific subject matter that's not gonna be found association.
Madam Supervisor?
We'll have to bring in the subject matter expert to run that training.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to agree with that and say that that's kind of what we're looking at right now, is doing this group training with everybody, but I also would like to encourage it to be a subject matter expert as far as that goes. I really don't want training to be put on by like the FGA or the, you know, I would like someone that
Right.
is gonna come in
That
and speak to it
understand.
in a non-biased type, factual way, they're not factual, but, somebody outside of all of this that we can have come in and speak to us that is not, you know, in the middle of what we're going through, that's just gonna speak to us in a way. And I know that that's available out there somewhere. So I would just say, so we can keep this rolling, is that we're gonna seek to see who it is, then Mr. Young can come back with the price of that, then we can approve that, that cost before we go any further, and then open it up for all of the boards to be trained together at the same time. That way we're all on the same page.
And we want that to include training for, semiconductor data centers and PFAS.
I think any of the large industrial,
Absolutely.
anything.
I mean,
We don't know what it means.
this is new for the township, so we need to protect our residents and our community first and foremost. Regardless of the cost, we need to make
Well,
sure
we
that
never say regardless
we're
of the cost.
protecting
We should always be looking at the cost.
our township and our residents. So, I think it's more important to make sure that we're not, you know, polluting our water and our water systems.
Madam Supervisor, in regards to the writing a letter to the planning commission, should we as a board write a letter to the planning commission and ask them to address the recent conflict of interest perceived from the public? Ask that the planning commission to address that, and so that the member can actually respond and the public be heard and have this incident,
I think we hit on that at the last meeting, though, that we had to.
we tabled it so
No,
that
we had-
Kyle could,
Right, the state was supposed to, look into,
writing a letter to the planning
right, it has to
commission.
be an official request, it has to be, I think Attorney Belzer went over that, what we had to do, and we can't just keep.
And that's what we
We have
have
to follow
we have
the
to
law.
write the letter, that's what I'm saying. To ask the planning commission to address it, so that the residents,
Attorney Belzer, can you address the things?
the members be held accountable for their actions, for doing the right thing.
What the law requires is the board can make written charges. I mean, I went through all this, but you can't, you can write this letter, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the statute and the law requires written charges to the person, and then they can request a hearing, but
My understanding in the bylaws is that you write a letter to the planning commission and you express what charges, multiple counts or whatever the offense is, and then they address it, the planning commission addresses it with the whoever.
But there has to
It
be
involves.
actual substantial charges, which we've explained, there's not really. Now,
No.
what Jack can do next time,
How do we not, how are there not substantial, how is there no credibility in any conflict of interest of the situation? I don't understand how, we never voted on it and.
there's nothing to vote on.
Okay, first of all, before anybody else wants to jump in, she has the floor, so please wait your turn. If you have something you'd like to address, please address me so that I can recognize you, and I will give you a chance to speak. But I'd like to keep this running smoothly, and I'd like to keep it running equally, so that everybody has a chance to talk.
We are no lawyers, but the township did elect us to address and be held accountable for what we do. And it is a concern of the public, so I didn't wanna throw it under the rug. I would like to address it and write a letter to the planning commission to have them address it, because that's how I understand the bylaws, to explain how we take care of conflict of interest that is perceived.
What I asked Jack after the last meeting when we talked to him was, next time there's a meeting, now it's brought to our attention that we know she did live in the area, which again, it's still not an actual conflict of interest that's gonna result in anything. But he can make sure she mentions it in front of the planning commission, and then they can all talk about it and decide where to go from there and whether or not they think she should be able to vote. But again, there's no definite conflict of interest. We've been over this, Leah. I mean, I understand your concern.
I don't understand how you aren't putting the pieces together. I mean, there was multiple conflict of interest actually. So, I think that the planning commission needs to address it. The public spoke to them and they turned, it goes in one ear and out the other. And unless we write a letter to them and ask them to address it, it won't be addressed. She won't, or who, you know, the members involved.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, Mr. Gordon?
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
My suggestion would be, and again, I'm not a pro, I'm still learning what to do on the board as a trustee. If you feel passionate about something, and you think that something's been done, that you compose that letter and submit it to Chad so that he can put it in the board packet, so that we have something in front of us, right? So that we have something, nothing's in front of us right now. I totally understand what you're saying. That would be my suggestion. That way, a decision could be made, because there's really nothing to decide, if that makes sense.
Did you not get the packet that I handed out in regards to all of that information?
I've got that.
About
What I'm
2 weeks
saying is,
ago.
in terms of like taking it to the planning commission,
Okay.
like something formalized. Am I on base with that, Mr.
Absolutely.
Young?
Absolutely, and on that note, now I have another question. Mr. Belser, is the planning commission subject to the ordinance 11-02?
Probably yes. I mean, again, off the top of my head, it's a township ordinance relative to ethics. I think that covers everybody within the purview of the township. However, they have their own rules and regulations. And
Right,
the authority of this board is very, very limited.
when you answered us in an email, you included the section on the ethics 11-02, did you not?
I believe so.
I believe you did. So, is that person that's on the planning commission, is that person and the planning commission, are they covered by the ethics portion of the 11-02? That's all I want to know, yes or no?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the ordinance. I'm looking for a copy if I have that with me.
You cost us 2 hours to review the 11-02 specifically,
The
so.
problem is, I don't remember every single thing and every single line of every single document. And catch it, and that's what goes on here, you try to catch me off guard. May I speak?
Yes, sir.
You try to catch me on the spur of the moment with something that I don't have 100% recollection or computer mind that I know all this stuff by heart. So if it's gonna be something you wanna know about, I need some forewarning or at least the opportunity to look for something. I'm looking through the papers I have here to see if I have a copy of that ordinance so I can address that properly. But to just go off the top of my head about everything is impossible for me. Maybe some people can do it, I can't. I need to see what a document says before I can just regurgitate what it says. So I'm looking to see if I have a copy of it so I can answer that. As we sit here right this second, I don't have that in front of me. I'm looking to see if I have a copy with me.
All right, so we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Moving on from today's date, we will be doing a roll call vote for the approval of the consent agenda. So, Madam Clerk?
Madam Supervisor, we're gonna do the consent agenda for striking the stuff.
I'll make the motion, so it's clear.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, striking the, every other part of the, line on page 4, besides Mr. Young answered questions as posed by Mrs. Sheridan at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes.
Moved and supported. Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote to the approval of the consent agenda.
Ms. Staton?
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick, yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Thank you, passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to the announcements, we have,
Supervisor, could we, do a, roll call, please? Attendance? Have you done that?
yes,
Thank you. Ms. Staton?
yes, here,
Ms. Bostwick here. Ms. Barker?
Here.
Mr. Gordon?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
here.
Mr. Sack?
Here.
Mr. Ward?
Here.
All present.
Madam Supervisor,
Yes, ma'am.
real quick, can we just have it added to our,
To do a
agenda
roll
to
call
do a
vote?
roll call?
Yeah, I'd like to do it right up where it says, please turn off your cell phones, right after that, if we could add that in.
Okay,
We'll
thank
change
you.
that next.
I did add it on my little list, it's right on.
Yep, I just think it would be clear if it's on our agenda.
All right, please,
I'm trying to get in the habit of doing it early in the end, but
It's okay.
today I was a little thrown off with this budget. Thank you very much. Planning board, under announcements, planning board will meet upon special request, zoning board will meet upon special request. Master plan steering is still yet to be determined. We do have a couple of things, on our announcements list, the first being the FGEA update. And, I'm not sure which one of the participants is going to get up and speak for us today, if any of them are at all. But I would like to ask them to address the snow fencing and the water testing. Merry Christmas, happy
Hey.
holidays.
Good morning, Merry Christmas. Next time we'll see you, Happy New Year. My name is Tyler Rossman, I'm the Executive Director of the Flint Genesee Economic Alliance. Kind of a boring update for you all today, but I'm happy to give it and happy to address some of these questions. Just to be really clear, like I've said, we're looking for 2,000 jobs, $2 billion of investment. Data centers do not create jobs. So I just want to make sure everyone hears that very clearly. Yes, we have gotten lots of interest from data centers. That is literally a very growing industry in our country. The Flint Genesee Economic Alliance is not offering the advanced manufacturing district to any data center developers that cannot create 2,000 jobs, and I have not met one yet. So, I just want to put that out there. We do not have a user. We certainly did, we all heard about it. We had a interested party in a specific industry, but we do not have an interested party today. And that means that we do not have an industry we are looking at. But we're marketing it, and we're getting some good feedback from the marketplace. I think a lot of people are letting the tariffs and letting kind of the global economy settle down, and then they'll make their location decisions following that. Today, we own 182 parcels. That's 2,276.9 acres, and that's an increase of 5 parcels since the last time I sent an update. We have an additional 19 parcels, approximately 33 acres, that we have under contract. In the next 30 days, between now and the end of January, really, we'll be closing on an additional 11 parcels. So our closing activities are really catching up to our new properties under contract. Maybe you've noticed over the last couple of months that number has really started to fall. And I think it's gonna take a big hit in the next 30 days in that 11 of the 19 will be closed. But we are continuing our conversations with additional property owners, and I've included a map in the update of all the parcels that are owned or under control. Additionally, we are doing the site prep and due diligence activities that our contract requires. We're looking through the various stages of demolition on various properties around the site, and right now, we're coordinating with Swartz Creek Community Schools because there are some properties that are slated for demolition that are near the playground. That we're gonna do between, December 19th, Friday, December 19th is the last day of school, and January 5th is the first day of school. So we'll be targeting the few working days in those 2 holiday weeks. Primarily, I think it's Monday, Tuesday, I think Christmas is on a Thursday this week, so it's Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, and then the same with New Year's Day, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. I think there is gonna be some tree clearing on a Saturday, before and after, just to kind of prep the site as best we can. So, be on the lookout for that. But the large scale tree clearing, learn how to talk. Tree clearing, chipping, and root raking is ongoing. They're working from west to east. And the material that cannot be logged is chipped. So when I was driving around the site this morning, it's so cold. I guess when you chip these things, they produce a heat. They were steaming this morning. And so if you see big chips, big piles of chips, that's what's going on. And those are being trucked through the appropriate approved trucking routes. And I'll say that the actual cold weather is very helpful for this because the ground's pretty soft to be working out there. So that's what's going on. Couple things I heard. Regarding the legal ownership of the property, the deed, Maple and Hill LLC is on the deed. Maple and Hill LLC owns the property. And I'm no attorney, so if we wanted a legal opinion, I could explain this better. But on the title, the second in line is the state of Michigan. So if something were to happen to Maple and Hill, the state of Michigan would have a claim to the property. What was kind of floated is if at the end of the grant, what happens? At the end of the grant, if we are not able to hold the property, the state of Michigan could step in, but it's not a guarantee that if the grant ends, that the state takes over ownership. That's not a triggering factor, but that's how it is. Maple and Hill does own the property, intends to own the property for the duration of the time needed. However, it's true that the state is in the line of title. Regarding the fencing, I'll take a look at that.
I'm gonna stop you there because I just wanted, and I know it was said, but it's been brought to my attention because of, I know this was stated at the planning commission meeting, as well, but there was concern because of the fact that the clear cutting is going all the way around, and when I say clear cutting, I mean it's literally like the wind is blowing across. There's nothing here to stop it from coming across the road. So, and I know we had mentioned, Mr. Young had mentioned that the Genesee County Road Commission would be the person that would be putting up the snow fencing, but I wonder if it's because you're still in a production phase of clearing that land, if they're not putting that snow fencing up. So I would recommend that maybe even the FGEA reach out on behalf to the Genesee County Road Commission and ask them about doing that snow fencing too.
We did reach out to the road commission. They will not put up snow fencing there at the moment. The property owner can at their purview, but the road commission and their answer to us right now is they're not going to.
So I don't know if that would be something out of good faith that maybe the FGEA would consider, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I know you're gonna touch on it, but I want everybody to know that it is a big deal. I mean, when you're driving down a little tiny 2-lane road and you've got a snowdrift whipping across that road that's going to produce, and you haven't seen it yet because you haven't been out there, but those of us that are from the area will tell you when those snowdrifts come during the middle of the night, I mean, it can literally come up to here, waist high, across parts of that roadway. So I don't know if that would be a good faith thing, that knowing that the road commission won't do it.
I don't know how much that would cost. I don't know what that would stop.
Well,
I'm willing to look into it. We can follow up.
That's all I can ask, is if that's something you might be willing to look into.
I think there's some similar things like that to what we're talking about along Hill Road.
Yes,
As I
Hill
kinda
Road's
noticed
very,
that.
very bad, and then I know it was brought up
Are
on
there
the
other
legal road.
examples or other,
Well, the wind usually blows, what is it, south to north? North to south? Yeah, so you've gotta just take it in that consideration.
yeah, we'll take a look into that. Yeah, I share your excitement.
It'll keep accidents down,
Yeah.
keep out of the jet.
Get the site developed, absolutely. With, regard to wells, I know Mr. Ludwig, coming up here, just wanna be clear that, our team looked into his complaint at the Genesee County Health Department. There was no well log, and I asked Mr. Ludwig if he'd be willing to have the county out to inspect that. They told us that's a $200 fee, and it's a little unclear because Dawn, DAWN's email wrote back that they would be absolutely willing to do that, but it was signed DON. So I don't know if it was Dawn or his wife that was saying that, but we're looking forward to seeing the results of that Genesee County Health Department inspection. Their interest they've said that there's probably no well log on record because of the age of the well. It was old enough that it wasn't recorded. So we're just waiting to hear on that. Was there anything else, Supervisor, that you wanted me to address? Or any other questions before that?
Madam Supervisor.
Any other board members have questions?
Yep, could you explain what happens when you're demolishing a home in the winter and, you're trying to keep the dust at bay, or how does that work with the water when it's freezing temperatures? You know, how you're supposed to put water on the demolition while it's happening?
Yep. There's no change to the process. Spray the water, regardless of the time of year. The only thing that happens is that when we get ownership of our property, we try to turn off the water as soon as possible because it's going through a shut off with Consumers Energy and we don't want any breaks inside the property. So, that's the only thing I would say of note about the water is that when we get ownership of the property, we're trying to turn off the water inside the house as quickly as possible. Any other questions?
Any other board members have questions?
I have one, Madam Supervisor.
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to follow up with Ms. David's comment. If you could really look into some snow fencing or something with all the trees and houses gone in that area. It isn't just for people that live there, it's for all of our residents and outside Genesee County. So many people travel that way. It's just sad as can be. Just hope some trees will be safe, but I guess not. But with no
You
trees,
can
no houses,
already see that wind blowing
it's gonna get
across their
worse. I'm just
window.
thinking as a good neighbor, I think it'd be nice if, your group could do that, of something, as a good neighbor, just to say, we appreciate it. Maybe in spots, or, again, I'm not an engineer in that area, but even if it's not the whole way, like bouts of it, so you just don't get a whole half a mile of snow drifts, maybe sporadically doing or something, but I think that would be a great thing to do.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask Tyler, again, could you break down the jobs that you guys are trying to, seek out as far as the permanent jobs, the secondary jobs, the construction jobs, the computerized jobs, within, how many, because every time we turn around, it's a different number of jobs, so could you please break it down a little bit more precisely?
The projects that we are considering for the site create 2,000 permanent jobs and invest $2 billion in capital. I do not have a breakdown of what that means. I will tell you, the last deal that we dealt with, you had PhDs, you had managers, you had bachelor's degrees, you had high school degrees, you had skilled trades, you had high-end, engineering. So hopefully, that the next deal will look very similar to the last deal, and it'll run a gamut, and that it will be good paying jobs. So jobs that are, advancing the overall, pay range of the community.
So how much, per year, do you, like, 40,000 a year?
Well, I'll tell you, the last deal, the average was about $90,000 a year.
For 2,000 people?
Well, that one was for 9,700 jobs. But it's just gonna depend on the deal. But I would say the average household income in Genesee County, I think, is about $58,000. I would imagine that the average should be above $58,000.
And how many companies did you contact in the last 30 days?
A handful. I mean, you know, a lot of times, this is a good question, actually. A lot of times companies, we don't work directly with the company, we work with their site selection consultant, because the company is trying to kind of stay back from the limelight and from the interest, but we've worked with a couple of different projects. Nothing that's of substance or nothing that's really complicated in interest yet.
Madam Super, I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Tyler, I'm not sure who you communicate with surrounding areas, but Flint Township, on the other side of Maple. I just recently talked to someone who's on the Flint Township board, and they literally said, well, that's not happening anymore, sand is pulled out of there. These are board members that should know and be aware of facts, that I said, well, my understanding, if you go over there, it's supposed to be ahead, you're still going.
Yeah,
So facts matter, and I think it's important that our surrounding areas, I'm not sure why Flint Township is their board doesn't know, I'm not saying all of them, please understand that. But this particular person was absolutely taken back that they weren't aware.
It's a great
That
question.
it's still
It's a great
being
question, and,
acknowledged.
you know, we work closely with the
Sure.
leadership over at Township, headed by Karen Miller and
Right.
her team, Tracy Tucker, and, you know, this is what's interesting about this project, is something that Michigan has not done a lot of. This is something that states like Ohio, Indiana, and Tennessee, and Texas, and Mississippi, and North Carolina, and Georgia have done really well, which is developing a site before you have a user. You know, for decades in Genesee County, we've been bemoaning the fact that General Motors left and we need something to come back. We're actually doing it, but it takes time, and you have to do that product development, and that's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of like when GM produces a truck before it's on the line over there, and then it goes to a dealership before someone bought it. They've produced the truck, they have the product, and then they can sell it. And that's the work that we're doing, and that's new for us here in Michigan, and so, you know, you can understand that someone who's kind of only tangentially kind of paying attention might not understand that what we're doing, what we're talking about here is the site development work.
Right, but these are
And-
leadership.
Yeah, absolutely, I understand.
Again, it's an ugly
It's a good
process, I'm
challenge,
gonna
though.
admit that. It's
It's
been
a
ugly
good,
for
it's a
3
good,
years.
it's a good
But
challenge.
they need to know,
Yeah,
we
that
are
we're doing the
neighbors,
site
and
development.
again, facts matter, I'm tired of reading this information, that they need to know that you guys are still pursuing it. So
Yeah.
maybe you can mention that to.
I will. Thank you for that.
That'd be great.
Anything else?
Any other board members have questions?
When will you be back?
Well, you know, I'm a busy dad, but definitely in 2026 we'll be back. I'm happy to report that, the flag football team that I was coaching, we went, 4-4, so 500. But my daughter's basketball team is undefeated, and her volleyball team has only lost once right now, so she's got a game tonight. And my daughter's, cheerleading team, you know, Grand Blanc, they're a formidable opponent. So we're looking forward to beating the Bobcats sometime soon. That's it, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. And thank you for the rest of your group that came and supported. Did either of you want to get up and have a go at it? No? No? Just thought I'd offer. I didn't want you to feel left out. All right. Thank you all very much for that update. I appreciate that. I appreciate you answering the questions, more importantly, that have been brought in front of our board, and questions that residents have spoke out loud and brought to your attention as well. So on that note, we will move to the resolution R 25-17, 2025 budget amendment.
Good morning. I should have resolution R 25-17. This is the last board meeting of 2025. So this is the meeting that we do like to have a final budget amendment. So that's what I have for you today. I'm gonna go through, not the resolution specifically, but the actual revisions report that was attached to the resolution. So looking at the original budget, we had originally budgeted $7,894,401 in revenue. Expenditures were $8,021,550 in expenses, leaving us a deficit of $127,149. Now with this budget amendment, I am proposing to increase revenue by $977,000, and expenditures are going to be increased by $185,000, resulting in a budget surplus of $664,851. So if you look at the revenues, I won't go in great detail, but I do want to kind of give you some feedback on why we are increasing these line items. So looking at the licenses and permits, that increase of $340,000. This is entirely due to the increase in activity in the building department. And you'll see me bring up the building department when we talk about another revenue line item as well. But not only has activity increased in the building department, but if you recall, the board did approve some increases to the building department permit fees and inspection costs. So that is what primarily has led to this increase of the $340,000 for the licenses and permits. Moving down to that intergovernmental revenue, that is the state revenue sharing. That has increased about $77,000 this year. That's the reason for that. Charges for services, a major bulk of that $190,000 again is the building department. We have shared services with the city of Swartz Creek. That increased about $70,000 from our budget. We also have a state inspection program that the building department runs. That increases about $80,000. Also included in the increase in this line item is some fire department cost recovery funds. We did get about $25,000 of those cost recovery monies. Moving down into the other revenue, we do have $70,000 that we're increasing here. In this line item, we're increasing $27,000 for an election reimbursement. We did receive about $15,000 in additional special assessment district road projects that were paid in full. So those come as direct revenue to us in the year that they're paid. Senior center donations was about $12,500, and we did have about $15,000 of just miscellaneous income that wasn't budgeted. Now this final line item that we are increasing, the $300,000 transfer in, that is actually coming from the capital improvement fund. And when we get to the capital improvement fund, you can see we have a sizable balance in there. The reason for transferring that $300,000 is that we are proposing an additional $300,000 to go towards our pension plan. We have an unfunded pension liability. Currently, I believe we're at about 87% right now with that pension liability. And what happens is every year when we get the actuarial figures complete from our pension plan company, which is MERS by the way, they calculate our unfunded liability based on what we've been paying in, and we come up with a percentage that we need to pay in for the future year. So the current year, we are paying, for 2026 I should say, we are going to be paying 18.3% of the employees who are in the pension plan. That would be our employer cost into this pension plan for their wages. So our thought is by putting some additional monies into that pension plan to reduce that unfunded pension liability, then we're able to decrease our future employer cost. That just keeps going up and up. So So you'll see that $300,000 coming in as revenue, but when we talk about some of the expenditures that we're increasing for some of the departments, the reason for those expenditures is because we have that $300,000 that we're going to be taking from those departments to actually pay on that pension plan. So moving down into the expenditures, do start with the public works. We are increasing that about $25,000, and that's just due to increases in the road maintenance costs that we have incurred. The trustee department is increasing about $10,000. That's due to a combination of computer purchases that weren't budgeted for during the year, as well as some board training that wasn't included in the initial budget. The supervisor department is going to increase about $85,000. The biggest part of that increase is going to be their portion of that pension plan contribution. The rest of the increase is due to unbudgeted postage costs for the newsletter that goes out yearly, and an additional $6,000 for some technology costs. Finance department, $20,000 increase, and again, that's all due to the additional pension plan contribution. The treasurer's department of $65,000 is a combination of the retirement funding as well as technology costs. Assessing is $55,000, and this is 100% due to additional contribution to the retirement fund. Elections, you'll see we're actually decreasing that department. We had budgeted for 2 elections, but really only needed to have 1 election, and it was a fairly small election. Labor relations, we do have an additional $10,000 that we're expecting for attorney fees related to contract negotiations and other labor law matters. The building department, an additional $30,000 here, mostly due to additional inspector fees coming about just from the increase in activity in that building department. The police department, we're actually going to see a decrease in this line item of about $150,000. And this is due to the 2024 budget surplus that the Metro Police Authority had experienced. That surplus is shared and given back to the township, but it's in a year delay, so we didn't get that surplus refund until 2025. The fire department, we're looking at an additional $70,000 here, and that's mostly due to equipment and supplies, additional repairs, especially for the equipment. The planning board, $20,000 for professional fees for the attorney and the planner. Same with the appeals board. That $40,000 is due to additional fees that have been incurred in that department for, again, the planner. Ordinance enforcement, $5,000. That is all due to additional retirement funding. Senior center, $20,000. Bulk of that is due to the new building and some maintenance costs of moving into that building, as well as some program supplies. Parks and Rec, we are actually decreasing that by about $60,000, as the Corridor Improvement Authority is now handling and taking care of all of the maintenance costs at the park. So overall, I do expect that we will be increasing our fund balance by the end of 2025 by $664,851. And that will leave us with an estimated fund balance at $3,837,693. Is there any questions on the general fund? I will.
Anyone have any questions? I was just, looking at the, 1 million budget revision for the grant revenue. That was a large number.
Yes, so you've moved on to the capital improvement fund. Yep, so we are expecting grant revenue to increase by from our budget, by about $965,000. That was additional funding that we had received for the senior center building, as well as some funding that was received for the amphitheater and the playground that has started to, there has been some planning that has begun on that playground. So moving on with the capital improvement fund, you can see donations, also an increase there. I don't normally budget for donations just because you can't really expect any given donation to come in, so those luckily, there was $75,000 that did come in for the park during the year.
Do we know who donates?
Yeah, we track all that.
Track them?
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a couple points, one being that 87% funded for our liabilities for our MERS is excellent, it's better than most, agencies and criminal agencies. So being further funded to assure that we don't have outstanding liabilities, upon retirements is excellent, and I really urge that we move forward and transfer that money and shoring up all of our liabilities.
Can you guess what that puts us at?
I can't.
96, 90.
So we're actually, our most recent valuation is 85% funded. Our accrued, unfunded accrued liability is about 600,000. So just back of the napkin math will increase, that funding percentage by half of the remaining 15%. But there's actuarial math is all kinds of mad scientists.
You can't begin to guess where it's actually gonna be 20 years from now.
Yeah, you don't know how long it's gonna be.
And market fluctuations are a big factor in that, so we can do the best we can and put a big chunk, and we've done this before, and it may have expectations, and then we'll get our valuation back and we're disappointed just because the market didn't do
Either
well.
way, the sooner we put it in.
That's right, yep.
So are we ready for
Yeah, make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the budget amendment as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? So, I did have a quick question. So you're only asking for us to move 300,000, but it clearly shows that there's a deficiency of the 599,000,
That's what we're up.
right?
Are you talking about the general fund?
No, you're talking about the unfunded accrued liability.
Correct.
pension
Oh.
system.
Correct.
Yes.
So if the board wanted to make additional contributions, it certainly could. I would encourage it and welcome it with open arms. The approach to the half, the 300 versus the full amount is to enable some additional deposits into the fund balance, noting that we have upcoming projects that are gonna necessitate some cash flow, including the unknown of what the purchase of the aerial truck for the fire department's gonna look like right now. And then we do get an annual, actuarial evaluation on that pension system, so my mindset was if we start with that 300,000, knowing we have other obligations we're gonna need to fund, we can look at that valuation when it comes out next June, July is normally when we get them. And if there are additional resources and we have some clarity on those other measures, you can try to take another bite at that apple.
I just wanted to point that out, that we're not fixing the problem, we're just putting a temporary Band-Aid on it
Oh,
to keep it over to next year.
No, the valuation on a pension system is not a single year at a time issue, and there are assumptions in there that can change either direction. I'll note right now the anticipated return on investment, for that system in the current investment, universe. I'm anticipating that funding percentage next year would most likely increase by 1% or 2%. Getting these resources into the system just allows that to snowball. And then each year, with those valuations, the required employer contribution is adjusted, which is what Sean was talking about earlier in terms of if we make an investment like this on a one-time basis, that required employer contribution on a year-to-year basis will be reflected to be lowered. And another approach to funding that UAL, instead of making a lump sum contribution as resources allow, is to overfund on those required annual contributions, which we could make a policy adjustment to adjust that approach to. Using Metro Police Authority as the example, their board actually funds 10% above the required employer contributions, and we could explore doing the same.
And I, yeah, cause I did notice that at our last board meeting with the Metro Police, that because we did have that overage, it went back in, and it keeps you from being where we're at right now, where we've gotta come up with money out of our pocket to support this, so. I just wanna state for everybody out there that watches, the board members here do not collect retirement. I just wanna make everyone aware of that, so this is purely for employees of the township. This is not for any of us board members. But there is a motion, it's been seconded. We've had discussion. Is there any other discussion anybody else would like to bring up? And I would like to look at doing making sure that we're putting in over so that we're not here again next year. That way the overage can be put back into our account.
Madam Supervisor, I just wanna make sure that, and I don't know if Mr. Young can clarify it, but this is not a yearly thing. This is a long-term, this is over 20, 30 years for retirement.
Right.
So we're not underfunded. We have plenty of money to fund all of our current retirements and all that. As a matter of fact, we're way overfunded compared to where a lot of other communities are. The city of Flint namely, I mean, they're way underfunded. So this isn't a year-to-year thing. This is something that is bigger than that.
I just think it would be better to fix the problem than,
It's not a problem, we're doing very well, it's not a problem, you keep saying it's a problem, but we're.
apparently it is a problem when we've gotta take money out of our accounts to add in
No, we
something
just have
else.
extra money, so it's a good
There's
decision
create-
to
there's
save
no
300,000 in our general
no
fund.
creative. Alright, Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote, because this is concerning funds.
Ms. Dayton?
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick, yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Passed.
Madam Supervisor, before we
Yes.
proceed, if I could just ask the board to make an explicit motion to approve that $300,000 MERS contribution, one-time contribution, so it's reflected in the minutes.
I will make an amendment to, or do we have a motion?
Second motion.
A second motion to clarify the $300,000 transfer into the,
To approve the one-time $300,000 contribution. to
that's
the MERS
exactly what I want my motion to say.
Support.
Moved and supported, any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, if you could do another roll call vote, please?
Ms. Bostwick, yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Dayton?
Yes.
Passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on to the ordinance 248-25, park rules, this is the first reading.
Yes, this is the first reading, so there's no board action necessary at this point unless there are modifications to the proposed ordinance as drafted. The board would like to see, this is the manifestation, meeting or so ago. There was a recommendation, from the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee to establish, the rules as outlined in this draft ordinance. Happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns, otherwise it'll be back before you, for adoption in a future meeting.
Does anybody? Yes, go ahead.
Could we possibly move line 15 into line 2 and also merge line 7 into line 6? Line 2 discusses regulation on dogs, and then it discusses it again on line 15. I just thought it'd make more sense to move them together. And then line 6 discusses alcohol possession and consumption, and then line 7 discusses public intox. Those could probably just be moved together.
And I take note that the word possession needs to be changed. It's misspelled there.
So, yes,
Good point.
I'll start with, line 1, item 1. The motorized vehicles of any kind are prohibited on the pathways. I get that. when it says motorized vehicles, does that include the electric scooters or bikes?
Generally, the approach we've taken to it is if they can be propelled by a non-motorized means, they're still allowed to be used. But they should not be using the motor on the trail. Does that make sense?
So what about an electric scooter?
So if it's a scooter that they're operating by physical exertion instead of the motor, then it would still be allowed, but specifically operating it as a motor scooter would not be prohibited.
Okay.
Or would be, sorry, operating it with the motor would be prohibited.
Unless they're handicapped. Exempt.
Correct.
Are we gonna have police out there?
Madam Supervisor, I have a
Possession.
question for Mr. Ward. I got your first one, 15 to 2, can you repeat, just for record, the second one you were asking?
7 to 6, right?
7 to 6.
7 to 6, okay, thank you.
Unlawful possession is spelled incorrectly, possession.
I'm sorry.
Alright. And then, so I'll get to Kyle's here in a second on number 2, but I went down to therapy horses. So it says equestrian use is prohibited on all park property. And I got that, we don't want nobody riding the horses up and down the paths and the trails, but I wanna make mention that we did have therapy horses that came out to our grand opening for the senior center, and those are equestrian horses, so, should that line reflect, something along the lines of, an event scheduled by the township or with township permission? Maybe someone can check into that,
Sorry, where's that in?
line 4.
Yeah, just make it without township approval, or requiring township approval.
Yeah, just with township approval. I worry that we're cutting out the
There's a line in
possibility
there
of,
somewhere that says something along the lines of, you know, if you're having some sort of.
yeah, I know there's
event.
one about the events for drinking and stuff like that. And then, going back to Mr. Ward's, cause he dragged line item 15 into line item 2. I think it's a little bit odd that we put on here, an owner or handler must leash the dog and leave the park. They're supposed to be on a leash at all times. So I don't know why we would give anybody the implication that they could unleash their dog at any given time.
Redundancy, nice catch.
And then, number 14, I had questions about the fact it says amplified music or public announcement loudspeakers are prohibited on all park grounds except at the amphitheater stage, subject to specific rules posed at the stage unless otherwise authorized by the township. So, I don't know how that's going to affect us, having the sound system on the ball field.
It's authorized by the board.
Unless otherwise authorized.
It should read or unless authorized by the township, not unless, because unless would only stipulate to the involvement of it being at the, amphitheater.
Do you want it to read, think it one more time?
It should be or unless otherwise authorized by the township.
Same thing with number 9, cause I'm sure, I don't know,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, can you say that again, I'm trying to scribble these notes. On number 14.
It should read or unless otherwise authorized by the township. The word or should just be added in before the unless.
same thing, Madam Supervisor, with number 9, I mean, I'm sure maybe there's gonna be an event where they wanna do fireworks, but individuals coming in to do fireworks at random shouldn't be allowed, but if there's a,
I mean, just grammatically, I just wanna point out that the comma is an or.
Also,
Grammatically.
a lot of these things, it's implied that with the township's approval, you know. I think we gotta kind of remember that, as far as fireworks or anything goes, it's implied with the township's approval, you know. Of course, someone can have an event where there's horses or, you know, fireworks.
Yes.
Attorney Belzer, could we just add a catch-all
Yes,
clause here that says the township may waive
absolutely.
any of these
However, my next
requirements
question
at
is,
their discretion?
who is the township? Who is that person? Is it the manager, the park and rec director? Who is that person?
I would say the manager or the board.
Should be the board.
Well, if you have the board, that means it has to come for a meeting.
And that, yeah, that's why I would say either the manager or the board, and if an applicant disagrees with the manager, they can come to the board.
Wouldn't they go through Parks and Recs and then they come to you?
We don't have a Parks and Recs department.
We do.
But, well, what about, it could go supervisor Jennifer or manager Chad, and then if they had a problem, because we don't wanna be voting on everything that somebody wants to do on the board, right?
right.
Yeah, that's my point, is right now, any events at the park, we have an established administrative policy that rolls through the manager's office. And I would just encourage keeping that consistent with this ordinance,
Who is the ordinance officer?
the manager.
We are, you know, Parks and Rec?
That's an
Yeah.
advisory committee, they're not an administrative.
They don't. And the other thing too, in D, it says, no baseballs in any part of the park, no hitting shall throw a baseball. I mean, that needs to be reworded because there's a baseball field there, other than, you know.
Yeah, the baseballs or the softballs should only be used, in the actual ballpark area, not outside in the fencing area, so we don't have to worry about hitting people's kids. And I don't know, did anybody read anything in here about the disc throwing?
We're not gonna allow frisbees.
Well, it's a projectile, so.
Where are you talking about?
That's in the same letter, same D.
The stones
It
and
says
missiles?
other missiles or objects in any part of the park. No person shall throw any stones or other missiles within the park or hit any golf balls, baseballs, or other missiles or objects in any part of the park.
Perhaps we just add with malicious intent. Obviously, people
That
should
would
be
be
able to
good.
play catch, right?
Right.
No, they
Well,
You
you
got
definitely
frisbee
don't
in the
want
park?
people hitting golf balls and stuff.
Can you play frisbee? I mean,
The problem with the language like malicious intent poses a virtually impossible court solve.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's meant to be hard items that could really hurt people, and I think that's the intent of it, but I mean, if you wanna throw a soft frisbee around, I don't see where there's a problem having a game of frisbee in our park.
Also, can we remember, now we're starting to argue semantics here. This is literally just a generalized rule
Well-
book that nobody's gonna be sitting,
Well,
standing.
yeah, but people
over.
get charged $500 or
Yeah,
spend
there's
90 days in jail, so we wanna be specific.
Penalty for this is $500 for each occurrence, or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 90 days. So I just wanna make sure, this is only the first reading, so I know we're gonna bring it back. Mr. Young, if you'd like to sit down with myself and maybe Clerk Boswick sometime this week and go through some of these with us and
Yeah, I think Jack
square
has
them
some
away.
notes, I've got some notes, we'll take a stab at redrafting and then bring it to.
I personally think people should be allowed to smoke in a parking lot.
Well, you know, this brings up another question. Who's actually, is the board gonna be like, if someone gets in trouble for this? Who's the?
I just said, who's the policer out
Yeah,
there?
who's the policer?
Yeah, so we,
Ordinance officer.
the ordinance officer, yes, but we take, I've explained this before in code enforcement terms, we take a passive approach to enforcement, which means, generally speaking, unless it's a clear and obvious violation or we get a complaint, we don't pursue enforcement. And the route to pursuit is always engagement in trying to correct behavior rather than turning to ticketing in courts to compel compliance, right? And then you've got prosecutorial discretion involved as well. The penalty provisions here make it a misdemeanor punishable by, but, you know, unless we have an egregious actor refusing to comply after, interjecting, we don't turn to those means unless we have to.
The only other thing that I really wanted to put in here, and I wanted everybody to take note is, on that line, under the penalties, under line item C, it clearly states that punishable by a fine not exceeding $500 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 90 days or both. So I just wanna state that, I mean, this is a pretty significant way of trying to, you know, keep things out of going the wrong way.
May I address that?
Please.
Those penalty provisions are standard misdemeanor penalties, and the actual decision as to what the penalty is up to a judge. The likelihood of somebody getting jailed, even for an hour on one of these violations, is probably minimal. But it's all the way up to the judge. These are maximum penalties allowed by law. The final decision on that is always the judge. It's not anybody else but the judge.
Okay, I just wanted to just make that aware.
Well,
Okay,
it's also, if I can add some further clarification, it's also drafted in a measure that allows us to work with our partners at Metro Police for enforcement. It's really difficult to ask a police officer to go assist in ordinance or rule enforcement without having some penalty provisions for them to point to in issuing a ticket if it gets to that case. So this is designed to allow us the tools should we need them, but ultimately, right, it's a rule book establishing the punishment as a tool of last resort.
At the least, we could just say you can't come in for 30 days or something. That's what's written in there, right?
Alright, so that was just our first read, so we'll bring that back at the next board meeting.
sorry. We'll bring that back at the next board meeting, and then we'll move on to the preliminary final plats and petitions. Seeing none, Attorney Jack Felser, do you have anything that you'd like to convey to the board today?
I have nothing else.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right, moving on, under Township Manager Ted Young. Mr. Young, what would you like to do, starting with letter A?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor, to the board. Item A under myself is the Gain and Metro lease. This is the annual item that's brought before the board. We have a lease for what is the building here across the parking lot located at 3476. It's operated in conjunction with Metro Police, and they have a permissible sublessor in the Genesee Auto Theft Investigation Network. This is unchanged from the prior lease. The only feedback I had from legal review was asking that we confirm Metro carries insurance for their purposes with the building, so I'll just work with Chief to make sure that is properly documented. I would recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns.
I would make a motion to accept the lease as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion needed?
Just one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Madam Supervisor. Mr. Young, how many years have we been in this, relationship with Gain?
Long before my time.
Okay.
And it's shifted some because of changes in how Gain is administered by the county. This used to be a lease strictly with the county through the sheriff's office for that Gain unit. As there have been changes and evolutions to specifically vehicle inspection programs, this shifted over to Metro Police as something that they operate as the primary leasing entity, but they can sublease to games.
So over 10 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moved and supported. Any other further discussion from anyone here on the board? Mr. Bowser, is the contract, is the lease, have you went over this lease?
Yeah, I drafted it originally, and the minimal changes that have been done over time, I've looked at this one, and it's perfectly fine, as Mr. Young mentioned. My big concern lies is the insurance, and this does require, the game unit, the Metro Police to have insurance on the building to cover any liability they might have to insulate us.
All right, Madam.
1,000 a month?
17,000.
Or, yeah, per year, 17,000 per year.
Correct.
How big is this place?
It's right across the
Parking
street.
lot.
Four,
Right over
across
the
the street,
parking
it's
lot.
about the size of 4 garages.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
And one of the garages, we do have some, the township
We
itself
reserve-
has some use to some of that building.
2 of the bays for township use.
Yeah, it's kinda small. For $1,000 a month.
And maybe around those. All right, moved and supported. Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote.
Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Staton?
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick? Yes, passed, thank you.
Thank you to the board, Madam Supervisor. Item B under myself is a proposal for heating the concession stands out of the Mundy Miracle Commons. Just by way of background, the concession area is an area that we make available for reservation and public use when it's not being used by a partner entity. One of those partner entities is GISD, or Genesee Intermediate School District, that runs some programming on a seasonal basis for, I think they're at 3 days a week presently, for job training for some of their special education programs. We had a request from them to heat the concession to enable winter operations. Had some email conversation between myself, their program manager, and the supervisor. I got 2 estimates by way of our public works coordinator with 2 electricians that we use commonly at the facilities. One is Cox Electric Heating and Cooling, the other is J&G Electric. You can see what they are. The difference in approaches is effectively an equipment difference. One is permitting a single heater, the other will be installing 2. These were at the discretion of the electricians on what approach they wanted to propose and thought would work best. The cost for J&G Electric is proposed at $5,010. Cost for Cox Electric Heating and Cooling is $7,600. Happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns.
Are there extra outlets in there for them to just plug a heater in? I mean, essentially what this electric heater is can be bought for $300 and plugged into an outlet.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes,
When we
ma'am.
originally built this, it was not built for winter use. We don't use the power from back. We winterize the bathrooms except one bathroom. Down the road in years, I would love to see maybe something like this, where we maybe have ice skating, or it is at a grander, more things there. But for right now, for the money, it's a lot. I am open though, GISD, maybe they could get a grant. And it would be awesome, maybe they have more access to different grants than we do, that would pay for this. But right now, I think it's a lot of money, because we do not use the park in the winter. I mean, people walk, but everything else is winterized, and there was no, that's purposely how it was built. It wasn't insulated with windows that came down, things to be used in the winter, so.
We spend $10,000 on blinds in the senior center.
Well, we use that every day, except Sunday.
And again, I disagree with that too, so. It was like 3,000 in blinds, 10,000 for the whole building, and the outlet with trash cans and this, that, and the other, but yeah, you're right.
We pay for the electric,
Yeah.
on these too.
Yeah.
They could have a door open, the windows open, I mean,
And the bathrooms are winterized, so.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Hi. I spoke with Corey Jarbo this morning.
Good.
He's a wealth of knowledge. Because I didn't know, and if I was told, I forgot, that the GISD was requesting this, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Because the kids are cold.
No, I get it, and I'm all for education and kids, believe me. I love the program, that is.
We're requiring handicapped adults to try to learn how to do and function and learn how to do a job. And we're freezing them out, literally freezing them out.
Right.
I can't express to you the emails, the phone calls, and the concern that came from Mr. Cox, Jen Cox over at the GISD about the fact that they did not want to continue putting the kids in that predicament because they've been using space heaters already in the area. And apparently, maybe none of you have handicapped kids. Space heaters are very, very dangerous. They are plugged in. There's no guarantee that somebody's going to remember to unplug it before they leave, which creates a fire hazard in itself. But furthermore, space heaters are dangerous. They're only UL protected.
Can I finish?
Yes, sir.
So in the conversation with Mr. Jarbo, my first thought was, gosh, there's really no events that occur out there during the wintertime to, make concessions available. He corrected me, obviously, that this program goes out there 2 to 3 times a week. So that was new for me. My next thought was, why not space heaters, right? We can do a little space heater under here. And he initially said, right, that's logical, but it is not safe. And that room is so big, it's not gonna do it good. So his concerns were safety, and then a cost control. I mean, if you got a bunch of these portable heaters plugged in, who's gonna make sure they're turned off, right? They get left on. So, there's a long-term electricity issue as well. Apparently, I think the one from JG does have a timer on it. Right. He was like, if we do this, we need to make sure we have a timer on it. So, I agree with Clerk Boswick. It would be interesting to see if the GISD had any funding or grant money available. If they have programs, I think it's worth to ask. That's kind of right.
Only for the GISD though?
No, but they're partnering with us.
If I can just add some context.
Sure, please.
I want to clarify, we're not requiring anyone to use this facility. This is a partnership that was negotiated between Mundy Township as the owner of the Miracle Commons in that facility and GISD as an educational entity that has special education programs. And noting the context and development of the Commons, specifically the partnership with the Miracle League, partnership with Special Olympics, and providing opportunity for GISD to use this facility to further a like goal. When we initially had that conversation and negotiated that MOU with GISD, it was acknowledged and well known that winter use may be a challenge because that building is not designed to operate in winter for anything but the family restroom. The rest of the building is shut down and winterized. It was designed that way purposely because of the future development plans out there and other facilities that we were going to be building. GISD has since indicated we would really like to use it for winter, but we can't put our students in the position where this facility is unheated. They tried space heaters. There are all kinds of other administrative and liability concerns that go with continuing to operate by that model. So now the question before the board is, you want to make this upgrade, and personally, it's a square peg round hole approach because that building is not designed to be operated in winter, but if the board is willing to make the investment, one of these two options is the best to proceed in terms of the liability and control and cost factors, etc.
Absolutely, and Mr. Gordon, thank you for pointing that out because I did notice on here, and Mr. Young as well, that there is a auto shut off on that, so that in the
Yeah.
event they shut the door and walk out,
Well,
it goes off.
a big concern too is this is not something that is, even in the summer, this is not a building that is operating on a daily basis. And if you have, you know, a teacher or program coordinator that is thinking, man, we really hate having to turn these on every day, let's just leave them on, we're gonna run that electric bill up real quick, because that building is not designed, that portion of the building is not designed to be run in extreme cold temperatures.
How long does the heat stand before it turns off automatically?
I'm not sure, I think it's sometime, we can program it to be a specific time window.
Shuts off at like 3 in the afternoon every day or something. But I just wanna point out to everyone too here on the board, this isn't the first time we've discussed this. I brought this up several months ago about the fact that the kids were cold last year. They were cold starting in the fall, starting in the spring. They've been cold all year. So this isn't the first time, this isn't going to be the last time, and I think it would be an disservice to our community not to, pay for the heating cost. I mean, this is, we're getting ready to use the same building and the same facility when we do the tree lighting December 15th.
Just to clarify, the tree lighting will use the senior center for any of the congregate activity associated with that.
Madam Supervisor,
Yes, ma'am.
is there other facilities that they can use to, I mean, this is such a small area, it's not insulated, it's not heated. I'm wondering why they're trucking these kids out there in the middle of winter anyway. Why aren't they doing it right after GISD? I mean, the training would be the same.
How many customers do you get in at the GISD?
There's no customers at the park. They're not open for business. They're training them on stuff. They're not
No,
selling it.
they are selling.
Operating the concession stands for snack and drink.
They're selling coffees and pops and sodas and crackers and chips and,
For winter time when there's hardly
Yeah.
anybody in the park?
yeah.
That's what they're proposing.
That's what they're proposing to do.
They've been doing it all year. The reason they aren't doing it so much now is because they're too cold.
I just don't think they did that last winter, and there wasn't a lot of people out there in the winter time.
So I guess who wants to be the one to tell the GISD that they don't care about how cold it is?
Madam Supervisor, that isn't my thoughts. I know Jan very well from there, I think they have a wonderful program. But again, maybe we could just table this for, ask them to look into some grants, considering, they could be gone tomorrow, and then nobody's there for.
Right,
I
so-
love this idea down the road.
Spring or what?
Excuse me, I love this idea down the road, when maybe again, like a bicentennial park, whatever our vision is down the road, sledding, skating parks, that would be great, but for right now, I don't think for the cost it's utilized enough. And I would like to ask them if they maybe have access to some grants for this. I'm not totally against it, and so that's why I'm in no right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we just go over the budget and it said in here that the Parks and Rec, we saved $60,000 into our budget?
We shifted those operating costs to the
Right.
CIA.
So, but the township ourselves, we got 60,000 that is coming from somebody else now, so $60,000 is coming back to the township that we're not paying out of our pockets for the Parks and Rec, so I don't understand, we're being petty over $7,500, $5,050.
More than that, though. There's the monthly cost too. The rent. It's not just the one time.
How much do you think it costs for them to run 4 separate space heaters at one time?
That would.
Not to mention what happens when one of those kids that's walking with a walker, trips and falls over that cord, falls down, breaks his arm, now who sues? Who's responsible?
Can you make a motion to accept the JG Electric heating unit for the, recreational building of the park, Mundy Commons?
I support Leah's motion.
Moved and supported, any discussion to accept
Which
the
one was it again?
JG Electric.
JG Electric.
5,010. $5,010, dollars.
Do we need to have any further discussion? Mr. Gordon, Mr. Ward, Mr. Sack?
Would you like a roll call?
Yes, ma'am, because it is money.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon?
No.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
No.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Staton?
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick Snow? Ms. Barker?
No.
Dale?
Humbug. I'll be glad to send that letter over to Jan Cox and let him know how the board failed them
Jan is
again.
a lady. Jan is a lady.
If I may add for context, it's not unusual that the township has asked GISD to pay for things in facilities that they use. The communication that we've had with GISD so far was we would ask the board if they were willing. And I would be happy to communicate that unless the board objects, the board would be willing to allow GISD to pay for the modifications. We've done that in this building before. The AV equipment in the old senior center, now return to election room, was paid for by GISD because they used it for periodic training purposes. We can certainly take the same approach here. I'd also be happy to explore with GISD if they wanted to utilize the commons for winter activities in a similar measure. We could partner at the senior center and have them do distribution out of facilities there. I think there's multiple means to pivot here and still come up with a successful outcome if GISD really wants to do that.
Please do.
I like
Thank
those
you.
ideas.
Thank you. Maybe next meeting.
That motion failed. Moving forward on to the MMC Sewer CMOM 10-year agreement.
Yeah, so this has been before you a few times now, conversation both throughout the budget process and the prior meeting. We had the proposed 10-year agreement, had some discussion in terms of legal review. The agreement is filled out appropriately for board execution. I would recommend township approval. Be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns.
I make a motion to approve the sewer CMO and 10-year agreement.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote?
You want a roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Staton?
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick, yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to the 2025 tax reverted property.
Thank you to the board, Madam Supervisor. Item D, the tax reverted property, just came up before the board over the summer. Just to refresh your memories, the way tax reverted property works, if there's property in the jurisdiction that's been longer than 3 years without paying property taxes, it moves through the property tax reversion process. First step in that process, in terms of township awareness and decision-making, is it proceeding to public auction unless the township seeks to purchase it themselves. At the end of the year, any properties that remain unsold through the public auction process require the township to explicitly decline to take them. If you don't take that step, then they do revert to township ownership. There is one property that made it through the public auction process in the jurisdiction that remains unsold. It's an unaddressed vacant lot off of Torrey Road, property ID number 15-23-300-018. I would recommend the township board decline to take ownership of this property. It's landlocked and unbuildable. Wouldn't make a lot of sense for us to assume ownership. There's really no public use it can be transitioned into. If the board is agreeable and seeks to do that, you would do so by passing resolution number R-25-18 as presented. If you take no action, this will be reverted to township ownership. Be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns.
Can anyone show me on a map where this is?
It's like a little tiny,
Would you like me to?
Yes, I would like you to, thank you.
is there any way, like, you know, the property, the two property owners that touch it? I mean,
Could assume it.
wouldn't it just be, yeah, assume it or give it to them for $1, wouldn't that be in our best interest? Yeah, I mean, it's literally like,
Right.
We would define it and then it would go to the county and then they disperse it to
Right.
the county of that.
It goes to the land bank.
To the land bank.
Yeah.
And there is a process through the land bank where you can make the application and get that property.
I know the land bank as a proactive policy measure does approach new,
they do that. That was my question, do they do that? Cause why would they just leave it?
But that would not be on the network and they would do a lot of legalities of it.
Okay. Zoom out.
So is it blight?
This is US 23. This is the land hub. This is the Torrey Road open. So not any of these road frontage residential parcels, but this little triangle right there is the piece of property. I can only assume it was a leftover remaining parcel from the expressway coming through and the property splits along Torrey.
Advertisement signs there.
You got me thinking.
So I would make a motion to, for resolution R-2518 to,
We could put Mundy Township.
not take possession of this property.
Support.
Mundy Township, with our new logo.
I do not know the size of that parcel, that would be foundation.
So we would have to pay taxes.
Yeah, that's all.
All right, so there's a motion, it's been moved and supported.
So what is the motion now?
To revert it back to the county.
By way of approving resolution number 25-18.
So I'll go ahead and read this. Resolution R-25-18, Charter Township of Mundy, at regular board meeting, Charter Township of Mundy, held on Monday, December 8, 2025 at 10 a.m., where the majority of the township board was present. The following resolution was offered by and supported by, you guys can fill your names in there. Whereas the Genesee County Treasurer's Office has certain tax reverted properties located within the Charter Township of Mundy, and whereas the state law requires the Genesee County Treasurer's Office to provide the Charter Township of Mundy a list of properties located within the township that have not been sold by the county at the yearly auction. And whereas the law allows the township to object in writing to the transfer of any such properties to the township, and upon the failure to do so, the property does revert back to the township. And whereas the township is required to state that it does not wish to receive any or all such properties, now therefore be it resolved by the board of the Charter Township of Mundy, the Charter Township objects to the transfer of the following parcels.
So that's the motion to object to the transfer of the following.
My motion is to revert the property back to Genesee County.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call.
Mr. Sack?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Staton?
Yes.
Ms. Foster? Yes. Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And moving on
Yep, this is just an FYI. I can't recall if we showed this to you after you reviewed the seat last year, but the township is a member of FANG each year. We pay these dues to remain a member. It's a budgeted item, so I'm not asking for board approval. I just want to make sure you're aware of that and our membership in the organization. Day before the end of the year.
How many tests do they do in Mundy Township? I mean, seriously, like, we already pay enough Flint dues.
I will give you my firm recommendation that it is very worthwhile membership in terms of the resources they make available for law enforcement, if there's anything.
So I do sit on the FANG board, and we do meet. And at those meetings, it is discussed about all of the drugs and, the thievery. We've had several drug, units that were, stopped on the expressways coming through our county, through our township, and that significantly, and I know Chief Bay can give you an exact amount, but there was a significant amount of drugs that were taken off of our streets, and you know, the implications of the lives that probably saved are countless. So if Chief Babe would like to make any comments in regards to us being in and participating in the FANG unit, I would greatly appreciate it.
I would just comment that being a membership in FANG, our agency benefits greatly. Obviously, we benefit, Mundy Township benefits. Most of these investigations aren't centered in one jurisdiction. They cross jurisdictions, they cross state lines, they cross county lines. The investigators do a fantastic job. In addition to that, it's a force multiplier because they're available to us when we have major investigations and we need additional investigative help. The resources they have we're welcome to those resources, including personnel. And there's been countless times that we've called upon FANG for assistance and they've been there for us. So I would highly endorse renewing that membership.
And are any of our officers actually a part of FANG?
Yes.
All right. So be accounted for, so we don't have to do anything with that in the budget or anything. There isn't no votes needed. So we'll move forward. Thank you, Chief Babe, for explaining that to us. I appreciate that. And then moving on under myself. So before I start with any of the items that are under myself, I'd just like to reiterate to the board. So I have some board information on some trainings by the Michigan Township Association. I'd be glad to pass that down to anybody. These are trainings that are available to all board members. And I've been to quite a few of these and I've learned a lot. This is one that's specifically about board roles and relationships. And I think it might be something that we as a township board should take some interest in. So I'm gonna pass that down to Mr. Young and he can make copies of that and get it out to all the board members. Also, I wanted to take note for our board members, we have the annual holiday party coming up for the Michigan Township Association. You do need to RSVP by December 11th with Mary Ann Price. And it is going to be held at the Forest Township Hall again in Otisville. All on the board are welcome and you can bring your spouses. Make everybody aware of that. Each township is asked to bring a $20 gift. I'll be more than happy to find the gift out of my pocket. Thank you very much. No one needed on that. And then I did want to make every month it's something else with the Xfinity. So I wanted to make everyone aware I did receive a note that as of December 10th, WSMH Antenna TV will no longer be available. There's a letter up here again from Xfinity on their programming and their services. So if anybody would like to read that, please feel free. And then on a much needed note, I like to bring some good news. So this is a Swartz Creek business, but Swartz Creek is, part of our Mundy Township Police Department with Metro. And I believe it's, our closest sister city because we do hold a lot of, Swartz Creek does help us with our parks and our rec, and we have a lot of shared services. So I just wanted to state out to you, in this month's Flint Genesee Group publication, they actually have an article in here about honeybees. And this is the Anthony B. Honeybee location. It's on Nichols Road in Swartz Creek. They actually make honeybees, and honeybees, for anybody that doesn't know, are really, really prevalent and are needed to pollinate our flowers and keep us with our food pollinating in the summertime. So I just wanted to state that. It's a very nice article that they have for them, and I just wanted to reiterate to everybody that the bee business is a big business. So I just wanted to, and that's here too, if anybody would like to read their article on that, I greatly appreciate it. There you go. And then moving on, under myself, Deputy Supervisor Huffman, if you care to step up here, please. With it being the end of the year, welcome, Mr. Huffman. Thank you for all of your hard service this year. I appreciate you. Appreciate everything you've done for our township. The efforts and the help that I've gotten from you has been more insightful than anything else that I've received moving forward. But I would like to state, with it being the end of the year, I did write a letter. It's the state of the township address, and I've asked Mr. Huffman if he would care to read it for me so that I won't get choked up.
Okay, well, I guess this is the first, I don't know if you've ever had a state of the township address. I don't know if this is important as a state of the union, but Zach, I know you don't like to listen to 1 hour speeches, so I cut this down. I'm your behalf. Here we go, okay? Anyways, on behalf of our township supervisor, I'm honored as deputy supervisor to deliver this year in state of the township address. As this was her first term, our supervisor is deeply grateful for the trust you've all placed in her leadership. She's committed to transparency, ensuring that her door remains open to all residents, and encouraging everyone to be involved in our community's decisions. In the township, this is, you hear all the controversy and everything going on with the mega site and, a few problems that we have here and there. But we're really, in Mundy Township, a very fortunate township because this is probably one of the most dynamic, business-wise and everything else, as far as townships in the state of Michigan, that positive things are going on. This year, we have celebrated wonderful milestones. We opened the Mundy Township Senior and Enrichment Center, welcomed the new Costco on Hill Road, and celebrated the opening of the Navarro Valreto 2, I guess I pronounced that right, new Mexican restaurant. We've laid the groundwork for the mass transit authority system, which will begin service in 2026, and secured funding for a new ladder fire truck to improve our emergency services. Additionally, our supervisor wants everyone to know that one of her key goals is to create a senior living or assisted living community within our township. Currently, we have none, and we are facing a housing shortage. She believes this is a crucial step towards supporting our seniors and is committed to making it a reality. Finally, she wants to acknowledge the collaborative efforts of the leadership team, including the supervisor, in guiding our township forward. We thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to another great year together. Want me to go on, Zach? Anyways, this has been a real learning experience for me. You know, I've been, over the years, very involved in Flint Township politics. I sit on a couple of boards in Flint Township, and I got to know Flint Township. Of course, I've lived out there all my life for 50 years. And coming in here to Mundy Township, I had never really got into the meat and potatoes of how your government runs and how you guys work, everything that faces the township. And I have to admit, I think I went from a high school diploma, and by the time this has been all said and done, after a year, I think I've almost earned a PhD in some of my knowledge. I think I can speak more eloquently sometimes in Mundy Township business than I can talking about Flint Township. I don't know if that's good or bad, but hey, what the heck, if I know both areas that are close together, that's probably a positive thing. So anyways, that as it is, this has been a real learning experience for me. I enjoy working with the supervisor. I enjoy local government. I've always said that of all the governments between national, state, or local politics, the most important entity of government that is more reflective on how you and I live our lives is local township. Local township is a wonderful thing. You have access to getting if you want to come up here and make public comments to address the board, you can get right in and do it. And that's a wonderful thing, and that's what local township government provides. And I've always been a very strong supporter of local government. I think it's probably the most important government agency that we have. On that note, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, all the best to you and your families. And I've enjoyed my first year here, and I think our working relationship will get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huffman. And then on that, we will go to the letter B, which is the December special meeting date. So initially, when I set this up on the agenda and I worded it this way, I don't know if I worded it exactly that way, but the goal was, Mr. Ward had asked to have a strategic planning meeting in regards to our fire department. Is that correct, Mr. Ward?
Well, I didn't ask to,
No, we noted we needed to have one to
Okay.
pursue the fire truck purchase.
That's right. Okay.
usually before,
I'm
but
just saying, don't we, how usually have them before board meetings?
usually, Mr. Young, I don't know if you reached out to anybody else to discuss whether we could meet after this morning's?
I did and was told that that would not work and they'd be reaching out to you directly.
I haven't heard from anybody.
So I guess there needs to come a date if we want to schedule that at the very beginning of next year, prior to the first board meeting for next year.
Are we talking about the fire board meeting that Mark
Correct.
and I and Kyle normally sat on and stuff?
Correct.
Madam Supervisor, we've always just talked with each other, does that work? Let's meet an hour before a board meeting, and, that's how we've always done it in the past, unless there's.
Correct, so I'm looking at January 12th.
I don't have to look on my schedule, I don't know.
So, yeah, we can organize that offline.
Yeah,
The,
right.
the impression that I got on listing this on the agenda was you wanted to identify a December meeting date for a special meeting of this board.
I went through this, sorry, with Mr. Gordon yesterday. I was very, very ill and very sick when I got that text, and I think I might have misread. I thought we needed to have a meeting about it, but.
Yeah, so we don't need to hash that out now. We can do that with the three of you.
Yeah,
myself and the fire.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we set up a time. I didn't know if because it's hard to kind of get everybody all on the same page sometimes.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you decide when you're gonna have your meet the supervisor meeting?
That's gonna start, the coffee hour will start in January. And I will, post that date on the township website. All right, and then the only other thing I wanted to touch base on before I forget is, so with all the holidays coming up for the season, I just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page. The township will be closed on the 24th, the day before Christmas this year, Christmas Day, which is on a Thursday, Friday, am I right? We're closed the Wednesday before Christmas, correct?
Yes, Christmas Eve and Christmas.
Okay, I just wanna make sure. And then we don't actually come back to the office till the 29th. And then we will be open the 29th and the 30th, and then closed again on the 31st. So December is a very busy month. We're closed and open only at certain times because of the holiday season. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And then also, most importantly, Mundy Township is having the second annual tree lighting event this year at 6 p.m. on December 15th at the Mundy Miracle Commons Park. Which apparently you guys must have all discussed where they're making hot chocolate and everything, because I didn't get any of those memos.
The event is in coordination with the senior center.
All right. I just wanted to see, did anybody get anything about what's taking place during the Christmas tree lighting?
Who's lighting the
Mandy and Brett,
We talked about who's lighting the tree at the last one.
Yeah, we know Senator Cherry's son is going to be lighting the tree, but we didn't have any details, and I guess we still don't have any details to.
Reach out to Mandy at the senior center, they're doing it, her and Greg are, they would be the ones to ask about that, cause it involves them.
Okay.
Golly, Wednesday and
It seems like they would have sent us out an email to all the board members alerting us of the time and the events and what was actually taking place, but.
We distributed the event flyer. We talked about it at the board meeting. All the board members are invited. And the staff that are responsible for organizing it are running lead on who's participating as well. But all the board members are invited.
The senior center.
All right. And moving forward then, I don't think there's anything else specifically that we've got to discuss, going around in the county. I know Genesee County Commissioners is putting together a countywide new program that will be targeting, putting in, building businesses and services in our communities. They are looking to take over it was proposed anyway, so let me just state that. It had been proposed at a county commissioner's office, that they're eyeing the Genesee Valley Mall. Being that it's, 2 miles down the road from our township, I would think that would be a concern to our residents. I'd like to see some improvements going to the Flint Township area. I think it would help out tremendously.
Wasn't the FDEA in that?
Yeah, so Genesee County is actually creating their own independent community group, aside from the Flint Genesee Economic Group.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a county-run program. Very, very interesting. I'll get some more details about that, moving forward, but I just wanted to make everybody aware of that they are working on plans right now for Flint Township, which hopefully will bring us some much needed impact to our community. Alright. And Madam Clerk?
yes, I'll try to be quick since we're running so long. If you received your newsletter, I know many people try to send them out quarterly from different departments to get information out to our residents. If you didn't receive yours, we have extra ones here at the township. Couple things in the clerk's department, I've had numerous people who read that, I love that they're reading the newsletter and fill out applications to work elections. Next year's a big election year. And we have about 70 people that are trained here, and you have to be recertified every 2 years. Next month, Betty and myself will be holding 2 certification classes, one in the afternoon, one on a Saturday morning. I love that we've had at least, 6 to 8 new people, along with our, other people that work elections. Please fill one out, it's great to be part of the process. And I've had some naysayers over the years go, oh, election. Once they come and work the process, and I appreciate some of my election people who have been here, they go, wow, I didn't realize everything that goes into running elections. So come be part of the process. It's a big year next year. Also there was about the flag box. Our flag box is out in the foyer. It's almost full. I'm so excited about that. So again, I reiterate, we have a retired flag box. Please bring them in. I will make sure once you get them, they will to the appropriate people, and they will take care of them appropriately in the manner that they should be taken care of to be retired. Also this time of year, throughout the year, but especially at Christmas, there's a lot of needs. And Mundy Township has, Center of Hope is located in Mundy Township. We're not affiliated with them, but it's a wonderful outreach program. Please, I'm a believer, need doesn't have a zip code. They not only have food, but they have access to counseling and lots of other needs, grief, so many things that people go through this time of year. So again, Center of Hope, they're on Thompson Road in front of Copian. They're not part of that, but it's a great outreach program. What's that? Coconut County, sorry, what did I say? Thank you. But anyway, thank you so much, that's all.
Center for Hope was here.
That's it.
Wasn't she the woman from Center?
Yeah. They have a great program, such wonderful needs, but they feel, I've seen amazing stories come out of there, but boys, this time of year, again, remember, you think, oh, it doesn't happen here, there's needs everywhere. It truly is on your street and my street. Thank you.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes?
I know under Clerk Botswood, she has the 2026 meeting schedule. I just wanted to point out, I believe, the zoning board of appeals, they meet at 6 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
Did that change?
It did. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
Yes, that is in every packet also for next year, so everybody will know when these dates are, and we will post them on our website.
So-
And we changed our meeting times from 7 PM at night to 6 PM. It is reflected on the new meeting schedule.
Hey,
So
we
I just-
vote on that, I don't
Yeah,
think,
I would ask the board to approve the meeting schedule, noting the change from ZBA from 7 PM to 6 PM.
Make motion to accept the schedule as presented for 6 p.m.
Support?
Moved and supported, any discussion? I did have one thing. I'm sorry, I know it might seem like a lot, but, I do notice on here that we don't acknowledge Easter.
Easter's on Sunday.
Right, but I get that, and I'll go with that, but then I look here, and, I start to look, and so there's a date on here, I had to go through the calendar to find it, but, so, they get July 2nd through Thursday, July 2nd, Thursday off for Independence Day, which is on July 4th, right?
Correct. So anytime, the holiday closures are dictated by the collective bargaining agreement with the administrative staff. Anytime one of those holidays falls on a weekend, we bump it to the closest of the Thursday beforehand and the Monday following.
I just wonder why Easter's not in here.
It's not a closure.
Okay. Well, don't say I didn't try. God bless America, okay. All right, so there's a motion on the floor to accept the, meeting schedule.
did we actually vote to change our regular board meetings to 6 from 7 last meeting?
That's what this is.
Oh, that's what we're voting on now, okay.
So all those in favor of adapting to the new meeting schedules, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. I
Can
oppose.
we just do a roll call, that would make it easier?
Yeah.
Supervisor, can we do a roll call on that?
Yeah, can I ask, Mr. Ward, why you're opposed? Is it because you have a scheduling conflict?
No, I don't see any reason to change it. It's been 7 for a long time.
Okay.
I'm being prepared, and getting, sometimes an extra hour really helps. Sometimes you get last minute emails or whatever, you know?
I'm an agreeer on 7 also, but I will be with you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote on that?
So let's state one more time, we're saying that to change it from 6 to 6 P.M., okay. Mr. Ward,
No.
Ms. Staten,
What is it? Is no mean we want it at 7?
no,
Still?
means you wanted to 6.
No means you're opposed
You're
to
opposed
the,
to it, yeah.
You're opposed to this, that's what's presented.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I'm not voting yes.
I think the only name who's been called so far is Mr. Wood.
Mr. Ward is no, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Ms. Staten,
Yes.
Ms. Bostwick, no. Ms. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
No.
Mr. Sack,
Yes.
okay, passed 4 to 3.
Dang.
So we will see everybody next year at 6.
Moving on, Treasurer Barker, do you have anything you'd like to convey to the board?
As the research on the year, tax bills have gone out, so please get in to pay your winter taxes. If you still have not paid your summer taxes, it's very important you get those done. You are getting assessed a penalty every month, and then at the end of this period, it will go to the county, so. I mean, delivery of bad news, please pay your taxes.
Alright, strategic planning and policy, seeing none. Old business, seeing none. New business, seeing none. Moving on to public comments, you have a maximum of 2 minutes per person. You can speak on anything you so desire. Thank you very much for staying this whole entire time, I appreciate it.
Denise Smith, Swartz Creek. In regards to the Genesee Valley, I did attend a Flint Township meeting, and Commissioner Wayhill was there. They are working to do something there, similar to what was done out to the Lakeside Mall. Out there, they did like there's a few apartments, there's some stores, there's a green space, there's a place for kids to play. I haven't went out there to see it, but I plan to. I don't see how that would be a fit in the space where they're talking. But right in the last I knew, they were just trying to figure out whether or not they get everything to code, which I don't know why they would do that. They would probably have to tear everything down and build what they want to build. That's what I know thus far. The other comment I had, and I do this with all respect, we have an agenda, and on that agenda, there is a place for everybody to voice concerns or bring up things that may not be on the agenda. And so it would be really nice if we could get past the approval of the minutes and approval of the agenda without a 20-minute conversation about things that may or may not be on the agenda, or something that could be put off until the end under concerns of the board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Anthony Hudson, Genesee, Grand Blanc Township. I have 2 suggestions. When Mr. Young was talking about the misdemeanors or the charges at the park, you can't throw a frisbee or a baseball or rock. You have to put this stuff in writing, because we deal with a lot of ignorant people out here that need to know what the rules and regulations are in writing beforehand. Otherwise, you're setting them up to fail on site. People go to the park, they have picnics, they have family gatherings, and they smoke cigarettes. If it's not in the book that it's illegal or not, something that you don't want them to do in the park, you need to have it printed in black and white so that they can't claim ignorance, when they go before a judge or a court or whatever. Second thing, when you talk about the GISD and the heaters for the concession stand, You mentioned the word partnership multiple times. My suggestion is have GISD pay for the installation of the heaters and have the township pay the monthly heating bill. I mean, your bill's not gonna be that much for the few days that they're out there each week. It'll take a long time for the township to incur that $7,000 or $5,000 bill that you would have paid if you paid for the heater. So act as a true partnership, have them front the installation with the agreement that maybe the board would pick up the heating bill during the winter months while they use it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments?
My name is Gerald Roberts from Flint Township. I use Maple Road quite a little bit. I know that Maple Road is not a, what you call a construction road or a public thoroughfare with regard to a highway. Most of Maple Road is, what they call soil spec. And it's kind of like a gravel, and after you go over it for so long, it hardens up, so it's got a hard surface. Since Megasite's been in there, I see on the corner where they're cutting trees, and there's piles of trees like this, and they're about that big around. The Genesee Flint Alliance, LLC, or whatever they go by, uses Maple Road. Half of Maple Road is considered Mundy Township, half of Maple Road is considered Flint Township. They had a guy in the Biden administration, his name was Pothole Pete. I think everybody knows that. I don't know if we've got a Pothole Pete here in Mundy Township or Flint Township. But this board needs to be aware that we have to travel that road. And it's a good way to get kids to school and to Moorish and everything else. That particular road is being tore up there's load limits with regard to times when these heavy trucks can come in to take those logs out of here. Just, any one of you can go down that road and see how it's tore up and how it's gone to hell with regard to that heavy construction traffic because of this mega site and those heavy vehicles coming down through there. It's deplorable. They should be putting money in, not this township or Flint Township.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Your time's done.
I just wanna say real quick in reference to when, Tyler was saying, like GM, and we gotta bring all these jobs like GM, let GM leave us. Three-eyed fish, four-headed deer, wasteland that's gotta be fenced in, properties you can't even have, residential properties next to it, so far away. What did GM leave us? Nothing but shit, garbage, just a shit show. I don't even know what else to say. So if we're looking at GM as the model, I think we might wanna pick a different model.
I'm Ludwig again. Real quick, Tyler, he stated that there's no buyer. I think it was July 13th, it was a Monday, he said there was no buyer. I believe he stood right here. July 15th, the governor said Sandus pulled out. So we can't believe him at all, period. Regards to the water testing, yes, Genesee County is $200, but they test for the basics, E. coli, that's about it. So I did look up Eagles permit fees, they're over $3,200. So real quick, I did a Google search while sitting here. I said, yes, tearing down a home next door can absolutely cause well problems, primary through ground disturbance, affecting water flow, changing discharge, compacting soil, disturbing aquifers, or contaminations from demolition debris. chemicals, asbestos, lead, potentially seeping into the ground and impacting the water table or neighbors' wells, creating a risk of muddy water, lowering yield, or contamination. Removing a structure and heavy machinery compacts soil and changes rainwater infiltrations to the ground, potentially diverting water away from your neighbor's well or condensate runoff. I'm going to say that wrong. Demolition, dust, chemicals, paint, solvents, asbestos, and other material that can wash into the ground, polluting the aqua that feeds your well. Now, these are the problems, sounds like that I'm having here. So these are the things. So I don't think Genesee County Health Department's going to be my answer. Like I said, I do have a water consultant, and I believe this is going to be more than a $200 test because I don't believe it's just E. coli. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Any other public comments?
Well, I mean, I don't, good evening, Chad Maury, 5215, good morning. I'm hungry, delirious. Anyways, I'll make it quick. Again, my concerns, I've been up here several times in the last few meetings, is regarding the conflict of interest that, as a resident and landowner, feel that was very relevant. Last meeting, there was discussion regarding putting it on the agenda as an agenda item. I did not see it on the agenda this evening or today. There was some discussion earlier regarding the conflict of interest, some discussion about training. I feel that's, training is necessary for everyone. New board members, old board members, ZDA members, planning commission members. I mean, residents, to learn about the procedures and things. So I do encourage, some joint training that was discussed. And I guess as far as back to the letter that Mr. Gordon mentioned that someone, to look at this conflict of interest issue further, there needs to be some direction on who the professional is here, who legally should draft this letter. My unprofessional opinion, it should be our supervisor. I believe that's what I read in the Michigan Township Association. Thank you.
Thank you very much, you are correct. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Seeing no further public comments, we'll close the section for the public comments and move on to board member concerns. I will be starting on my left with Clerk Boswick. Clerk Boswick, do you have any board member concerns? Ms. Barker? Mr. Sack? Any? Mr. Gordon, do you have anything you'd like to bring up as a board member concern?
Not at this time. Thank you.
And Ms. Davis?
Well, just off the top of my head, I am very concerned about, it's too late as far as a lot of the homes that have been demolished already around the mega site, but reflecting back, I wish that we would have had more support with some of the historians in the area to figure out which homes were worthy of keeping as historic. Apparently, there was a survey done and Tyler said that nothing came back that there was, but a lot of times they're yet to be discovered that they are, and they're not on the list because people haven't pursued it, and yet there could have been, like, I had heard that there was a home that was possibly a funeral, a place where they had funerals, and then, the home across the street from me is 160 years old, and I just wish the moratorium could have addressed these, and to have the time to investigate whether we should preserve what's around us as opposed to destroy it for this big corporation. I mean, we're Mundy Township, we have this rural feel, but yet the biggest part of our agricultural space is being destroyed for big corporations, and that's just not what our master plan is representing. The people, the residents want to stay rural. And like I had said last time, this has affected the people that live around. I mean, it's hard to see it every day. It's very psychological. It's like a bereavement that you go through. So there's a lot of passion, and I appreciate people, putting up with the antics that have been displayed. And I appreciate the patience, and I pray for everybody that we can get through this, and that the Lord is pleased with the outcome of what happens to us here in this township, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, Leanne. All right, and then moving on to myself, so I just want to stipulate, I will be checking into the aquifer damage that has been done to Don Ludwig's home. I also will be following up with the ethics violation letter that will be going out to the state, the prosecutor, to every single state representative in the state of Michigan, and to every single senator's office in the state of Michigan. And on that note, we will move forward. We have a closed session coming up after this, and it's for the AFSCME negotiations. If somebody would care to explain what we were going into closed session for.
It's a closed session compliant with the statute in order to review and discuss ongoing collective bargaining negotiations with the AFSCME admin unit.
I make a motion to go into closed session to discuss the AFSCME negotiation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Before we are all in favor, I just want to stipulate that we will only be speaking of the AFSCME considerations, the AFSCME proposal, the AFSCME agreement, and we will not be discussing anything else in that public meeting. Closed meeting, sorry, closed session. No decisions will be made. We will meet again after the closed session back in this room to reconvene. All those in favor, Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call vote to go into closed session, please.